Welcome back, everybody, to the Hit.Or.Die podcast. It's been a minute, bro.
It's been a couple of weeks, but that's
It's
for sure.
what, December? I think it was like early December was the last episode we posted with Chad, yourself, and Labby was in there.
Yep.
So a lot has happened in the last 2.5, 3 months. You saw a lot of stuff in free agency, Dodgers specifically, but I know a lot of teams made moves. You had the Hall of Fame stuff come out. But first off, how have you been the last couple months? Update the people, because I think last time we talked, there was a possibility you getting in the coaching arena professionally or continuing to play. So kind of where are you at right now in the journey?
Yeah, so I applied to about 12 different teams. I sent in my resume to about 12 different teams. I got a couple callbacks. I had a couple good conversations with 3 or 4 different teams. No job offer, which is fine. I think I kind of jumped into that arena a little late. And I think it'll just be better to spend some time with the kids, spend some time with my wife and family here in Fresno. But with that, I think it'll kind of prepare me to get ready for next year if that's where I want to be. The more time I spend at home, the more I want to be home.
I mean, and for those that are new to the podcast, if this is your first time, this is Marcus Walden. Sorry. Chad usually does the intro. So I've been doing this for too long and failed miserably there. But no, Marcus Walden, thank you first.
Yeah.
I don't know who I was talking to, but it was about the playing part and coaching. And it's like, if you're coaching minor league baseball, you might as well play.
Yeah. I mean,
for the time you're gone.
It's a full time you're gone. And even, I mean, the harder part in my opinion is the spring training. Just from watching it from the player side, you're there at 5 a.m. and you're not leaving until probably 6 o'clock at night, finishing reports, doing what you got to do. So they're long days. On the benefit is that you're not training to get ready to go play. I still like working out, but working out and training to go play are completely separate things.
You're going to work out the rest of your life regardless, right?
Hopefully the rest of my life.
Whether you're playing or not.
But yeah, the training side of it, and I got friends that aren't playing and they just love to train to try to throw the ball hard. And that's a different kind of commitment, in my opinion, of wanting to go out there and throw 95 to 100 miles an hour. It takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot of time. And so once I kind of decided I wasn't going to play, which I've been very happy with,
surprisingly, to be honest with your career path, your story, I didn't know if you'd ever kind of get here.
I know. I never really thought
and not that I wanted you to be honest.
It's all. I never thought that I would be the one that said, I'm done. I kind of thought I was going to be the guy that they'd have to rip the jersey off. I thought I was going to go play Mexico, go play overseas. And maybe, who knows, maybe, spring training just started. You start getting that itch again. And right, like I'm going down to Arizona here in 10 days to go see some friends. I think it's going to be a little hard watching them play and me knowing that I'm not getting ready to go play. Like even last 2 years, I was getting ready from December on, even though I knew I was going to go play independent ball to start the year, but I got picked up. The first time it took me about 8 weeks. The second time it took me like 3 weeks to get picked up by an organization. But not having that, but no, it's been really nice to just relax, work out, be with the kids. So coaching wise, like I didn't get a job offer, which is fine. I think being home has been nice. Getting into the private sector, doing some lessons and kind of helping guys out, going and watching more baseball. I plan on watching more big league ball games.
Yes.
We kind of talked about that as going and seeing some of my friends and going traveling a little bit and bringing our boys.
I'm all for it. I've already got a bag packed.
Right. I think it's going to be fun. I think enjoying the kids and something that I haven't spent a summer at home since 2005, 2006. So being able to do that, I think is going to be it's a huge blessing, honestly.
Yeah, no. And I mean, is there any chance you go to spring training and surprise yourself by not being so like tempted to want to go back?
A little bit, I think. But I mean, I'm already.
Is that how you know it's time? Is that how would you?
Actually, me and Jason Donald had this conversation the other day, and I told him, I was like, I've officially retired. He's like, dude, congrats. Like when you know that you're done, it's the grind of getting ready, and the preparation is the hardest part, right? From pretty much Halloween until spring training starts February 10th, like you're working as hard as you can. It's just getting ready to go play. The playing side's fun. That's easy. That's the easy part. The preparation side that's where the grind is. And then you're putting in all this time and making sure that you're ready. physically, mentally, and knowing that you're going to be gone from your family for that long. That's probably the hard part. And I think that's the more relieving side, is that I get to go home every night and go see my kids and see my wife and hang out and try to help her out a little bit. She's been running the single mom for literally 8 years now. So I think it's been a blessing.
To be, lucky guy. The other thing is I don't know what your schedule's like, okay, but you are doing some lessons, correct?
Oh yeah. And
I don't know how much you want to put that out there.
And that's
because I don't know what your schedule can handle, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're maxed out already, or is there more people you could take on just for the people
right now
in the area?
Yeah, right now I'm working 3 days a week. I'm working Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Usually I have my kids on Tuesday, Fridays. I like, obviously, high school baseball is going on. The dogs are playing on the weekends. So I like going and watching games also. Like, I'm just a baseball rat that I'd rather go watch those games. I'm trying to find that happy medium between my family life, making sure I'm making some money, and enjoying still giving lessons. Like, I like working with guys and then going and watching them perform in the game. I think that's a big part of helping these kids out. Like, I was at the opening day with Garza and Central game. Yeah. And I got to watch the pitcher that I work with, Zach Carpenter, against one of the hitters that I work with for Central. And it was kind of cool to watch that matchup and being able to see it live and see, like, what we're doing. Is it working physically and on the mental side of the game? But then walking into it the next day, I saw him 2 days later in the gym, and we talked about his at-bats. We talked about why are his at-bats early in the games, right? Like, I mean, that was a first game. He hasn't seen really a whole lot of live pitching, but why is he late at the plate? And so just being able to have that in game with your own eyes as opposed to looking at video, I like that part of the game as well. But yeah, I mean, I still have a couple slots open, but I'm not slammed. I've put it out there more this year than I ever have, but this is the first year that I'm really trying to go out there and help more kids and give more lessons. But yeah, I mean, I'm always open to help more kids out.
You'd bring up like the guys that you help and go in and watching, which I don't know how often. I'm sure the guys that have facilities in the area or people that do lessons, whether it's hitting, pitching, defense, whatever. Like, I'm sure they get their eyes on the guys playing.
It's hard, man.
You notice though, probably that we work different in our lesson. Do we need to take more of that, or how different is it from game time?
100%. And I mean, I knew it just from throwing bullpens to in the in-game situations, right? I mean, I can execute 85-90% of my pitches in bullpens, and when the game gets going, your heart rate's up. You're right. You got situational pitching. You got a guy on second base. You got 3-hole hitter.
Right. In a lesson, are you thinking about holding the runner on?
You're never
right. You're not focused on the guy. You're in a different setting. It doesn't feel real.
We don't talk about that, and that's something that.
But do you want to work it? You want to work it as it's a real, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the goal.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of my stuff is. Early in the bullpen session or whatever, we're just working on executing pitches, and then it's all right. We got a guy on second base. We're checking the runner. We're trying to be quick. We're simulated hitters to where we have an idea of who we're facing, right? If it's naming a guy or just giving a scouting report, like, wait, we can't throw a breaking ball for a strike middle, right? If we're going to throw a breaking ball, he's going to be aggressive to it, make sure we get it down to where now guys are thinking while they're on the mound in their bullpen. It's the same way when you're executing pitches during the game. You got to have an idea of what the hitter's trying to do, and now you're trying to combat it. I mean, I still believe it's a chess game. We're not just playing X's and O's and you're a robot out there. You're playing chess. It's a mental side of the game, and that's the biggest part of, to me, on the pitching side. That's what I like the most, and that's why I like working with a lot of older guys that can repeat their delivery. Obviously, as a younger kid, we're working on repeating our delivery, throwing strikes, throwing a lot of fastballs. As we get older, it's how do we execute? How do we tunnel pitches? How do we get outs at the end of the day? Because that's what's going to keep you in the game.
I got an interesting question. I don't know if we've ever talked about it. I do want to get into Rothford, Chad not being here, and just that whole situation, but where he's at and what he's doing right now and why he's not here and all that stuff. But I want to kind of stay on this. And I don't know if we've ever touched on this. At what point should some of these guys, the high school age guys, I mean, I guess there's always room to improve, right? I don't want to
always.
But like, if you're 82, the chances of you getting to 95 as a junior or senior in high school, would you say are pretty slim?
Pretty slim. I mean, you got it. It's a lot of maturity and weight room work. It's a lot of off-field stuff that.
Because I've stayed off, not stayed off, but like when we took this little break, I took a break from pretty much everything, Twitter, Instagram, like
A reset.
and so I was getting a couple clips sent to me, and one that really stood out was this lefty. And it doesn't matter, but for context, I think he was like a D2, D3 pitcher who didn't have a great year last year and working, right?
Yeah.
Tip your cap. You want to see that. Guys trying to improve, get better, always. But the clip was just that he'd hit 98 or 97 or something like that. And it was 8 pitches. He was 1 for 7
Yeah.
in the strike department.
Yeah.
And like the rest were not even close. Like, I mean, guys are getting. Judge was probably wearing one in his ear.
Yeah.
Like that was as close as he got to the strike zone. And I'm thinking, you know, my challenge, and we might have talked about this, my challenge to the high school guys that listen, or the coaches, or even younger, like, I encourage you to, at that age, to not even chase velo. Like,
No.
chase outs. Go
Correct.
chase getting outs.
Correct. And the velo and stuff, in my opinion, is done in the off season. That's when your off season work, and that's our preparation. Just like on the pro side, from Halloween on, right? I can't just walk out there and throw 90 miles an hour. If I went through a fastball right now, it'd be 77, 78, right? But as I'm training and as I'm getting my body ready to get going, right, that's when my velocity starts ticking up. And all my bullpens are max effort. Most of my first bullpen, I'll be 81, 82, right? And I got some buddies right now that are getting ready to go play some independent ball, and they're 88 to 90. They'll be 95 to 98 when the season starts.
Jesus.
And they're playing independent ball, right? They don't have a job in pro ball. And so just because of the velo doesn't necessarily mean you're on the fast track to anywhere. It's about throwing strikes consistently, right? And the biggest number, I talked to Jonathan Lucroy when we were playing together with the Red Sox. He got that concussion when Marisnik ran him over. And it was his whole, he wanted to see what's the difference between the best team in pitching and the worst team in pitching. And it was like 6% strikes. The best team was at like 65, 66%. The worst team was at 59 or 60% strikes in the zone, not swing and miss strikes, but in the zone.
So called strikes.
Called strikes, right? And if it was a foul ball and it was in the zone, it counted. And he did, I mean, it was all year. And this had to be, it was probably like the 2019 season he went back to and did it, because it was 2020 when we were talking about it. 2020. And so that was like a big thing to me. Like, that's as small of the margin as it gets. We're talking about 6% strikes in the zone, talking about the best team in pitching and they was like a 2.2 ERA difference.
Do you know how the best team finished? Who was it?
It was the Dodgers.
It was the Dodgers?
Yeah.
What, do you know?
2019.
Okay, so they lost.
And the worst team in the year, the worst team was the Angels. They're literally across cities, right? And and that was just what he mentioned. We talked about it, but that was his biggest thing to me and it wasn't like pitch selection, it was pitch execution, throwing strikes and being able to get ahead of guys and put guys away early in counts in the zone. And as you get older, that's part of learning how to pitch. But obviously the Dodgers have better stuff than the Angels did that year also, but they were in the strike zone a whole lot more.
Is that the year they lost to Washington? Or is that
2019?
No.
2020 they won it.
They won it. That was a shortened season.
Yeah.
18, the Red Sox won it. I know the Nats won it, and was it 17?
I believe so.
So 19 was with the Astros?
Astros won at 19. Yeah. So that was like, that's a big part. And as we get older in high school, like high school guys, I just like thinking about the chess game on what pitch we're using and being, I'm all in on throwing this pitch. I'm executing this pitch and I'm.
Yes. And ultimately, I guess what I'm saying is it's February, end of February, getting toward the end.
Yep.
Season is underway. We're 1-2 games in. I'm saying right now, if you're chasing velo, stop.
Stop. Yeah, we got to get out. So we got to execute.
Especially if you're not throwing strikes.
Correct.
You're not throwing enough strikes.
Correct.
It's fundamentally just like hitting. Like, we work a lot of the fine details in the fall. That's how important your fall is.
Yes. That's where the work is, and that's when everybody, and that's where a lot of high school coaches, not only in the Valley but all over the U.S. is. They want you to work in the fall to get ready for the spring. And that's where multi-sport athletes are on, like, that's what's hard about multi-sport athletes. Do I think you're a better athlete for playing basketball, soccer, football, wrestling, whatever that is? Yeah, you are a better athlete. But it's hard on an eye-hand coordination sport. It's hard to not have those fall at-bats or not have those reps in the fall to get ready for the spring. I'll never tell a kid not to go play another sport, because I think you become a better athlete. And some of the best players in the world were multi-sport athletes. But those reps are hard. You're playing catch up in January and February as getting those at bats and seeing pitches in October and December.
Yeah, I think right now you kind of, again, I don't know, choose my words carefully, but you kind of are who you are right now. Like we're February, we're pitching. There's always room to improve. There's always gains to make. It's that if your focus right now is that increased velocity, who cares? Correct. Like go get outs. That's why there's a defense behind you. You've heard all the cliche terms a million times, but I just encourage kids the outs are going to win more games than you throwing hard.
Correct.
You're going to win. You know what I mean? Like if you throw 97 but can't get anybody out, you're probably not going to win a lot. Listen, I saw it yesterday and the kid wasn't bad, but he was struggling, right? To throw strikes, threw pretty hard, walked 5, 6, 7 guys in the first inning. And, before you blink, it was 7-0.
Yep. And that's usually how it goes. Because now you're trying to throw it right down the middle and you're not confident. And now you're down 3 miles an hour instead of.
Yeah. You're in here and everything else goes out the window.
Big time.
So
big time.
Just something I wanted. I just kind of riff on that. I want to clarify some stuff, right? So this is weird, right? So Chad Rothford, one of my best friends in the world. We've been doing this podcast for about 4.5 years. Throughout the month, and this is kind of why we took a break. Throughout the month of December, and towards the end of November, he was in the process of interviewing and doing, all the things and steps it takes through Central Unified to try to be the next Garza head baseball coach. And so I wanted to wait. I was hoping, we could announce it and wait till he was official. It had to wait till it got to the board in January. And so that's kind of why we initially took some time off. And when we realized he was going to be the guy, just things got so busy, man. He practiced, getting to know his team. He's really only been the head coach there for not even 2 full months.
I was going to say it's 7 weeks.
Yeah. So he's still getting to know the players and team. We both went to their dinner the other night. We both watched their first game. Everything was excellent. The parents were awesome. I'm super happy for him. I am excited for the opportunity he has. This is, he's wanted to run a program for a long time. And I know he's had a couple interviews at other places that just didn't go the way he wanted. And all those were, had to happen to get here, I think.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, now that he's got a really good family life, right? His wife is no longer, I don't think she's in school. She's working.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so now they still got 3 beautiful kids. Yeah. And they're grown. They're not to where they're completely sleep deprived. Like he's got a whole family.
It's still a struggle. Also. The little one, she's pretty young, but still, it's
right. And
he's also doing his credential at the same time.
So now he's on a big bender of doing his credentials, trying to get in with the school, running the varsity coach, still working, right? And he's still got a family life. So those are long days that he's still got ahead of him. But it's a huge thing to have a program, and it's a pretty new program. This is their first year with seniors. I think they only have 2 seniors on the team.
Yeah.
But now getting ready to mold a lot of these younger kids, the freshmen and sophomores. He's got a really good young group of kids. I think the sophomores and the juniors are really going to have to step up and be good for him this year. And I think just instilling a lot of confidence in those kids. Obviously, last year when they had a lot of freshmen, sophomore, and 2 juniors, it was a tough place to win. And I think, once the league starts and they kind of get their feet under themselves, they're going to get some W's. And I think it's going to be a huge program, especially, obviously, Central kid myself. Watching 2 different high schools is different. It was kind of cool to watch Central play Garza the other day. But that's a big program walking into starting it, almost, not necessarily from the ground up, but still the first full year of seniors.
And it's one of the cool things, you were at the dinner the other night and Chad made it very clear, like last year, the initial steps taken thus far, just even the short time, Colby really got it.
Oh yeah.
Started on the right track.
For sure.
And so, Chad's excited to kind of start a tradition. I think that's one of the coolest parts about it is, Madera, right? I'm a Madera High guy. We've got hundreds, over 100 years of tradition behind us and history. And so for him to be a part of creating that and their tradition and some of the things that, you'll see in the future is pretty cool. And you're right. They do have some pretty good young players. Their catcher, I love their catcher, dude.
That's my guy.
Fantastic player. But no, I'm really happy for Chad. I'm hoping that there's something that we can do to try to set up a show where I can talk to him about it and kind of say goodbye for now. I don't want to say for good.
Yeah, and
there's no way he can do both.
No.
So he's going to be taking a break from this for a while. Guys like you and Lab and just some other guys try to do more guest stuff, especially during this high school baseball and the dogs getting going. But I just wanted to give everybody an update. So Chad's going to he's got a full plate on him. There's no room for this and there's no time for this. And I'm totally understand it, respect it. I'm happy for him and I want him to have all the success in the world. And it seems like admin's really behind him. The relationship with the kids is growing. I like his staff with JJ Ramos.
JJ Ramos was a big pickup. Kind of late, but it was good. I didn't even know he was there, and then he was over there coaching first base. And it was good to see him.
Brett Carroll running over at third base and doing infield work was another big pickup. And Griff doing his pitching, who stuck around this year and it seems to really like his lower level coaches. So I think the ball's rolling in the right direction. The only thing now is get that facility ready for them to actually play some home games.
Right. Yeah, they were saying mid-March. We'll see. I mean, I'm hoping if they get one home game, I'd be really happy for them.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's obviously the rain will deter that a little bit, but if they can get one home game and be on the backside of the season and get it ready, and again, getting ready for the offseason and be able to grow that team through the summer and through the fall would be huge.
Yeah, no. So I'm excited for my boy. You get a chance, go check him out or shout out, send him a message or whatever. He's busy, man. That's all. So he's going to be taking a break for a bit, but we will continue the show rolling and get it back going here during this spring. Like we said at the beginning, a lot of stuff's happened. Just real quickly flying through, like I said, the Dodgers stole the show this offseason with free agent signings.
Huge offseason.
Obviously Ohtani's the big name. They go get Tyler Glass now, Yamamoto, James Paxton, your boy Brazier, sorry.
Yep.
Manuel Margot, Teoscar Hernandez. Like they went
the
pretty
big
crazy.
One is there's a trade with Glass now and Margot. I mean, I think that's going to be right. You can go sign free agents, but when you're making trades and obviously you get some guys from the Rays and they're walking into the Dodgers org, they have similar philosophies on the pitching side, and to where now, I mean, they're going to be pretty darn good, especially on the starting staff.
No, I agree. I think they beat a lot of, I don't know, man. One of the first teams to be that aggressive with deferred money.
Yeah.
For the 10 years, which I was reading up that people in California, some of the politicians were not very pleased with. But hey, not anything illegal.
No.
I wonder if Major League Baseball or if this gets addressed though, because now listen, they didn't do anything wrong.
No,
I love it honestly.
They're going to make money for years.
The amount of money they're going to make off this, just Shohei, blows away what they're paying him in the long run. I would love to see in the 10-year deal.
10-year
right?
deal.
I want to see what the margins were in 10 years from the Dodgers.
It's going to be outrageous. But that's what not only this the deferred money, but just Bobby Bonilla deferred money.
Yeah, he's still getting
right. Ken Griffey Jr. deferred money.
Yeah.
Now it's just not 95% of their salary.
No. Right. I think that was what was most surprising.
Well, you talk to a guy that's got a New Balance deal, right? It's a humongous deal. I don't know exactly what it is, but you're not deferring that money.
I think I saw last year he made closer to 35 or 40 million off the field.
Yeah.
So his $2 million contract it's just to defer the money. You know what I mean? Like he's going to make plenty of money on whatever endorsements he's already got and
correct
stuff like that. But to the important part of all that stuff for the Dodgers is if they don't, how many years of them not winning from now is a failure, would you say?
I mean, is
year one a failure if they don't win? I say no.
I can't say. I say no.
With Ohtani not pitching this year, you hope that Buehler and May and these guys come back.
Now is going to be there.
Yeah,
right. Like they're still having a starting staff. I think
it's Kershaw at 35. I mean, the guy wasn't bad last year. I know he didn't have a great postseason outing to start that series at home versus Arizona, but still, like he was the only dude you had.
He got
you had nobody left.
Right, he got you.
Everybody was hurt, so he continues to be that workhorse. But you're what's that window like? Mookie Betts,
12-year deal.
I mean, Freddie Freeman's 35, right? 34, 35 now with 3 or 4 years left on his deal.
Yep.
What's this window for these guys to stay together and win? If after year 3, if they haven't won, is it a failure at that point?
I mean, what do you got to win the World Series to win to be considered good?
Well, why do you go spend the money you spent on all these players unless you're not trying not to win?
You're always trying to win.
Right?
I mean,
so if in 3 years, 4 years they haven't won a World Series, if you're a Dodger fan, do you look at it as a failure?
I
kind of think you have to.
Say no. It's the same as the Yankees in the early 2000s. They spent all this money when they grabbed A-Rod at the second $200 million deal. They had Teixeira. They had all these guys, and they didn't win nothing. Right?
I mean, it took 7 years, 8 years to win.
Yeah,
because they won 3 in a row.
Yeah, they won early.
And then what was it? 99, 2000, and 01. Or was it 98, 99, 2000? They lost in 2001.
Correct.
Because the Angels won in 2. And then they won again in 2009. But I mean, you look at 95, was it 96? 96?
Yeah.
I mean, they had a good stretch there.
They had a great stretch. And I think the Dodgers are in the middle of that great stretch, right? The Astros had a really good stretch there.
Yeah, but the Astros have way more to show for it than the Dodgers. I mean,
I don't like saying that if you don't win the World Series, it's a bust. It's so hard to win and be hot at the right time to get through. Now, are they going to make the playoffs every single year? Yeah, they better. Like, if you don't make the playoffs, that's a complete failure.
Yeah.
But that's
if you don't get out of the divisional round.
Well, even then, like, you got to win 5 games again. You got to win 3 games, 3 out of 5 against another team that's getting paid $500 million also, right? Everybody's getting these salaries are big.
Well,
right?
and I think the D-backs are the example of a lot of young guys that nobody knows, so they just count you out.
Yeah.
And not only they played not like young guys, they played like vets that got to the World Series. That can happen.
That's going to be a good team. And even in their division, that's going to be a hard series every single game.
I still like the Padres too.
The Padres are good. The Giants aren't any slouches. They had a good little 85-game, 90-game stretch this past year. Yeah. But you get teams. What's the difference between the Rays have a different philosophy? They're looking at depth. They want 47 guys that are going to help their big league team, as the Dodgers have 32 guys that are going to help their big league team, right? And they just have a lot more invested in those 32 guys. As the Rays, if the Rays call up a guy from AAA, his WAR can't be much less than the guy that he's replacing. Whoever, it doesn't matter what position. It could be a starting pitcher, reliever, a third baseman. It doesn't matter. Their organization, and the Dodgers org is very good also. Their AAA team was really good. They made it to the championship series. So they have the backing on the backside of, right? And at the end of the day, can you keep those 30 guys healthy? And that's the biggest part of winning World Series. I mean, in 2018.
That's why I can't always pass the buck on Dave Roberts.
He's a man.
That's why I can't always, I know a lot of Dodger fans get irritated, and there are moments where I'm like, I get it. But then when you have guys that are hurt, and especially last year with some of their pitching, it's like Aaron Boone. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, look at how many pitchers the Dodgers used last year.
What are you supposed to do?
It might be 32.
I didn't even look. I should have looked.
I mean, dude, it's almost 40 guys that pitched in a big league game for the Dodgers last year. It was unreal, and they still winning ball games.
I also somebody had a bad take. I was like, what kind of bad takes could we have about it? The bad take that I had was that teams should pay the Dodgers for coming to their ballparks, because the Dodgers are going to sell out visiting seats.
That's how the Red Sox did it.
You know what I mean? Like, the Dodgers are going to bring seats to Colorado, like fans to come more to Colorado, more to, wherever they're going, Arizona. Yeah. Like, they just because they're there with that roster.
Correct.
Like, they're selling tickets for other teams, not even just the Dodgers.
Think about like college football.
Dodgers should get a take of every ticket sale for every team they go visit.
But that's the cool part when they do come to town, right? It's a lot of home games for them, right? When they go to,
you saw that in 2020 when they had the neutral site in Texas.
Yeah,
it was Dodger fans everywhere.
They travel. These guys. And so that's a cool part about being on one of those big time teams, is that's what you get. You get a lot of home people that want to come see you. And when you're going on the road in Colorado or wherever. I mean, one of the harder places to go play is probably like Seattle. You get up to the Northeast, you get up to New York and Boston and Philly. There's going to be some Dodger fans there. So it's going to be fun once they travel to the East Coast and watch how those interactions work.
Yeah, I still think this might make some Dodger fans mad. They might be like third in the NL. I still like the Braves, although I don't know. Chris Sale is a weird. If he can just stay healthy, maybe. Again. I guess. I still like Philly.
Philly's a good team.
I think the Dodgers are obviously in the mix. We'll see what happens to the Mets.
The D-backs are going to be good.
D-backs will be there again. I agree with that. So it'll be interesting to see. Spring training's coming. I wanted to kind of hit on that since we haven't done anything. All this stuff took place after we last recorded. The other thing was Hall of Fame inductees. You had Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, Joe Mauer receive enough percentage votes to get in the Hall of Fame. I think Jim Leland will also be getting a plaque put in there when the induction takes place. And getting into some local stuff. We'll come back to some MLB because there is something that came out in the news I wanted to get your opinion on. Yeah. But the Dogs, Fresno State started last weekend against Milwaukee. Went 3-0, swept them, had their rain out. I think it was supposed to be at Sac State Tuesday.
Last night,
and I believe they're at Fullerton this weekend. So Fullerton's going to be a good club. That's going to be
team. They beat Stanford, took 2 out of 3 of there.
Yeah.
In Stanford, or when Stanford came to Fullerton, I believe, and that's going to be a big series this weekend.
Yeah, I think if the pitching can continue to work, with Dixon, and these guys have faced kind of the same thing with the weather, and no, they probably get more work in than obviously the high school guys do, but they got the barn and they've got tarps and just more resources. But which if you haven't been, you need to go check out the ballpark. It looks great with the new cup dugouts, the new turf, new padded outfield. Field looks great. I love baselines back in there. But the Dogs are at Fullerton, which brings me to, I think, Friday night, Chuck Chansey Park. Do you see this?
No.
So for the people in the Fresno area, I think it's Friday. UC Santa Barbara and Sac State are playing at Chansey Park.
Really?
Yeah. I could be completely wrong on this. So go fact check me. This will be out. This is Thursday, but I'm pretty sure, tomorrow, Friday, Chuck Chansey Park's hosting UC Santa Barbara and Sac State.
UC Santa Barbara, rumor has it, if they're playing, I want to go watch. They got 2 of the best arms in the upcoming
So
draft.
I've seen a couple picks that's got them going to Omaha this year.
I've
seen one that had Fullerton going to Omaha too. So Fresno State's got a nice little test this weekend. It was Beal. Noah Beal was Saturday. Jack Anchor went Sunday.
Threw the ball great.
But yeah, man, I'm excited. Phenomenal kid. Dude, that team, the potential this lineup has, it could be scary, man. And I think, getting some of the transfers, like having Saldivar come back. I think it's Pepe's the other young guy from Long Beach, and then Hopfy's still in that lineup and Grady, like there's some guys there that Murph's got too that can probably keep
the
him
lineup deeper is what it did.
I mean, he's not going to have to, if those guys get on base in front of him, Murph's going to continue to eat, man.
Yeah.
I really like the lineup. I think getting Bill is going to be another big pickup for them. Always liked Jake. There's some pieces here, man, that these guys are going to be a pretty good ball club. So it's going to be a fun weekend for them. CVC started play yesterday. I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Fresno City knocked off COS.
COS yesterday.
You had Porterville, I think, beat Merced.
Okay.
And Reedley knocked off West Hills.
Nice.
So, there's a lot of baseball about to drop upon you. I know basketball is wrapping up here. The Coke Classic, which is, I'm not sure how many teams are there. And then Central's tournament. I believe the Visalia tournament with Tulare Western and some of those schools down there starts up too. So a lot of baseball going to start coming your way. The other local one, and I don't know, to me it doesn't matter, but I don't know if you get on Twitter much.
No, I don't.
Okay, so the last couple of weeks I've been trying to get back in the swing of things. I felt like, the people, I don't know, Hit.Or.Die was needed, right? Needed to come back. I just, it seems like it's been a weird place. And one of them was Buchanan's 0-2 start. And I was like, who cares?
Yeah.
Is it that big a deal?
No, not at all.
Like,
I don't know who they faced the first game. I know they faced Bakersfield Christian on Saturday.
I want to say, did they lose to Liberty?
It might have been. That's a tough travel. You're leaving at 7 a.m, right? You're driving down 2.5 hours. You're playing a good team on their home field, and then you're coming back. I think they were supposed to play yesterday. I think they're playing today. Bakersfield Christian.
There's another, and in Brassfield, I think is supposed to go. That's another
supposed to pitch today.
And they lost to them, I think Friday. Was it Friday?
It was Saturday. Saturday morning.
I don't know, the start thing. I saw a couple tweets on it, which maybe it's surprising.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, because you're Buchanan, and listen. I've heard. I don't know much about their team other than that I've been told that they've got some youth.
Very young.
Coach Gloss is in his first year as a high school head coach. Like, there's a lot of things that it's still taking place here. Like, give it a second. I don't think LSU was concerned about their start to last year, right? Because they didn't start great.
No.
They go on and win the College World Series. I don't think the Rangers probably loved their start to the MLBC. So I understand, like, maybe a slow start, but you don't know what things they're facing. Are guys hurt or again, the weather's kind of killed some practices and squads and scrimmages. To me, it's a non-story, I guess.
No, yeah,
you're not entitled to winning just because you've won in the past.
Now, once after the tournaments finish and we start getting into more of like the league, they start playing teams that they kind of know more in the track. Yeah, you go 0-2 in the track, 12, 15 games into the season. That's a little bit different situation than starting the season 0-2 against two teams you don't really know much about.
Well, I think it's funny too. I think in 2012, when I was at Clovis West, that team season we finished 28-5. And in the track, we were 13-2.
Yeah.
And I think we started 0-2.
Yeah.
In the track. We lost to North and Buchanan.
Two tough games.
Went on to win, I think, rattled off 13 in a row. So, again, the start is, I get it. But to me, it was just kind of a non-thing. And they'll be fine. It's those kids are, like I said, and I've said it in the past, like Batesel. I remember Coach Batesel said, we were talking about the dogs. And this was 2 years ago, I think. And it was how he felt about the team. And he just we haven't lost enough. And maybe these younger guys haven't lost enough.
You got to learn how to fail.
Right. And you lose enough, you're going to start figuring out how to win.
Yes.
Right. So I'm not worried about the Buchanan Bears. I think they'll figure it out. They have good players, good staff around them. Again, I don't know a lot of, how they are or some of the teams. Like, I don't know much about Bakersfield teams. I know Liberty was pretty young a couple of years ago. I'm assuming they're going to be a tough ball club this year. Not much about Stockdale. I think Redwood's got a couple guys. Yep. I think Bullard's going to be really good. I went and watched them for a short bit yesterday, and I like some of their guys. I really like Zavork. Good player.
I think the Bullard Clovis North game is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's another team that keep on your radar is Clovis North.
Clovis North is going to be good. They had a lot of young guys the last 2 years, and now they're juniors and seniors walking into this year. They got they learned how to fail a lot last year.
Well, and they got two guys on the mound that are going to be, you've been in the track, you've seen it.
Yep.
You got two guys that can flip flop as your number ones. Yep. I mean, you're going to be tough to beat.
And I think Clovis High is going to be in the same situation.
Clovis High is going to be really good.
Two really good arms. Again, they're still a little young, right? They're juniors, and I think they're going to, right? They've had a lot of success, but now that they're facing guys that are juniors and seniors, it's going to be a little bit different, I think.
I think the track's probably going to be a little bit better. I think it's had a couple down.
Yeah, had a couple down.
I think it's going to be a better league. I think Clovis East is going to be a good club. And listen, Clovis West has got a lot to. I'm sure there's some kids on that team that want some revenge and answer back from the season they had. I don't think they were. I know for a fact they weren't happy with how things ended or how their season played out. So, and there's some kids. There's some good players over there. That track's going to be pretty fun to watch, man. I think it's going to be a different season for them. I think Central's going to. There's some pieces there. I do have enough arms to get to get through the gauntlet. Because are they doing 3 games a week this year? Or are they back to 2?
I'm not even sure. I think it's 3 still.
If it's 3, I worry. I worry about the depth on the mound for them.
That's every high school team.
Sure, of course.
Right, and just like we've been saying, they got 2 arms. Right, 2 arms. Right, we're playing 3 games a week. Right, and so you're going to find a lot of games on Wednesdays are going to be tough.
Yeah,
they're going to be some high scoring games, and that's where taking care of the ball and putting the ball in play.
Yeah, no, and as far as like some of the Visalia schools, again, I think LD Monte is always a tough club. I'm not sure about Golden Westish. I don't know much about the Visalia schools. CMAC, I think, will be a little better than last year as well.
I think so too.
Edison's going to compete a little bit more. I think Madera's going to be pretty good. I know talking to Woody, he's got a couple guys that are dealing with some arm issues right now, but hopefully he can get them back soon. Again, Bullard's probably going to be the team to beat, I think, in the CMAC.
We're going to be good.
I'm not sure about Sanger. Not sure what they got. I know Chad's got a pretty good young team with couple of decent arms. I mean, those guys we watched the other night were pretty good.
I like I think the CMAC plays twice a week. I think they got enough depth in their pitching that they got some guys that can throw strikes.
Yeah, no, and that game, I mean, for people that saw the final score, I think it was 13-6 final, but going into the sixth, it was 7-6.
Exactly.
It was a tight game with, honestly, some sloppy defense on both sides, but also some timely hits.
Big time.
For Central, and I think Garza's going to be all right, man. They're going to be, especially as the years continue to go, and you can get this nucleus of the staff behind the players. So I'm excited for baseball. Going to try to get out to see as much of the Dogs and some high school stuff as I can. I know you'll be out a lot. You love going.
That's why I like taking Tuesday, Friday off from working and just going out, and I'll be around with my kids, and I'll bring my son out there with me quite a bit.
I kind of want to close it out on this. It's been in the news the last 2 days. Anthony Rendon was interviewed. I want to say this happened Monday, maybe Tuesday. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to get your take, being a guy that's played. I know there's 2 clips. One of them's kind of long. It's Jonathan Papelbon's response on the Foul Territory podcast, but this was Rendon's initial comments about his priority. If you hadn't heard it, this is what he said to reporters.
Top priority for you?
That's never been a top priority for me. This is a job, so I do this to make a living. My faith, my family come first before this job. So if those things come before it, I'm leaving.
Is it a priority?
Oh, it's a priority for sure. This is my job. I'm here, aren't I?
Do you want to be here?
I don't want to talk to you guys at 7 in the morning or whatever time it is. So.
Do you want to like be here playing baseball?
I have answered your question. So why do you keep picking at it?
Oh, yeah, you technically answered it.
Thank you.
So, now you've played in the big leagues. You've traveled. You've done the whole thing.
Yep.
Because Jonathan Papelbon's response, it wasn't bad actually, and we'll play it in a minute. Your first impression of hearing that, though, I'll have you go first.
I mean, to be honest, he's not wrong, right? This is what we do for a living. This is, I threw a baseball. He's hitting baseballs and playing defense. Right? Is our job serious? Do we put a lot of time and effort into our job? Yeah, we do. Is that what molds us? Are we only a baseball player?
Yeah, that's not how it defines you as a person.
That's not what defines me. And it took me a little time, honestly, in my career that's what it does define you. And that's when you see a lot of guys that are getting out of the game of baseball and they get lost and they don't know what they're doing. They kind of hit, right? They get to a lot of drugs of abuse is honestly what happens is they let the game define who they were. It's obviously different when you're in the big leagues and you got your fans are coming to pay to watch you play, right? You are a role model to a lot of kids. Yes. But that's being a role model is something that you perceive to push to other kids, right? Like be a good role model, the way you go about your business on and off the field, right? Not everybody in the big leagues is a great person. There's a lot of really good people, but most of the bad people get kicked out of the game, right? He takes his job serious, but his faith and his family come first. And I think that's a really good answer. I think when you define yourself as only a baseball player.
When the game's over for you.
Yeah.
Who's there? Who's
It's my wife, my kids, right? My faith and knowing that I'm still Marcus. I'm still the guy that, do I like baseball? I love baseball. But is it going to come before right? 2020, it tested a lot of people, right? And
you had guys opt out.
We had a lot of people opt out.
You had guys like Buster Posey who chose his family.
Buster Posey
and his
got
health.
offered $20 million and he said, no, thank you. I'm good. I got two young kids. I'm gonna retire.
I guess where's the outrage for that?
Right. Nobody even talked about it. They just said, oh, but Buster's done.
I mean, there was other guy. I think Ian Desmond was another guy. There was a handful of guys that opted out.
Yeah. And they didn't want to go along with what was going on in 2020, 2021. right? And that to me proved that they were more secure about themselves than showing like, I have to do this because it's my job. Don't ever let your job define who you are as a person. That is what you do for a living. That is what you know, and obviously it's different. He's making $200 million. I get it. But right, if he was a minor league baseball player and he said that, nobody would say anything to him.
No.
Right? But
maybe part of it is too is that the people that cover the Angels or the fans, you know, maybe it's like that Kirby comment last year coming out of the game. Like, because they see the outside, they're outsiders looking in and saying the money.
100%.
And in 3 or 4 seasons, however long he's been in Anaheim, he hasn't really lived up to that deal. But he's been hurt. Like to say whether he really has been or hasn't been, because you see it often in football when guys get paid, they start to not finish seasons for whatever reason. So people question, well, are they really hurt?
Yeah.
Or are they just taking the bag and getting through this contract and just
that's
healthy?
Where I think it stems with Rondon is that, right? Nobody said anything bad about him when he was with the Nationals and was playing third base, won the World Series, right? Nobody said anything bad. Then he signs with the Angels. I was 29, 30, 33 years old. You get some nagging injuries. They're hard to come back from. And then also he doesn't necessarily like reporters. He doesn't really like getting asked stupid questions.
And he had the incident in Oakland last year with the fan.
And so that's where I think it all stems from with Rondon is that the guys, they don't like that he hasn't performed, right? And guys like Chris Sale, who I would say is a good friend of mine, unbelievable human being. They said, hey, was it a
pitcher too?
He's a great pitcher. They said, hey, was it a success in Boston? He goes, yeah, we won a World Series, but I wasn't healthy. Like he owned up to, like I didn't earn my money is what I listened to him on a interview. I didn't earn what I got paid. And that's owning up to what he's doing. Like he was pissed. And every year he was trying to get back into the game. And I mean, he was pitching through things that people have no clue about. In 2019, ended up having Tommy John, right? 2018, that dude was going through it all. And those are the guys that would, anytime he could take the ball, he took it. Right? Those are the dogs that you want playing for you. And then you talk about what Papelbon said. I don't disagree with what Papelbon said either, right? We have our faith, we have our family, but this is still your job. And he said that if I was a GM, I would trade Rondon.
Right. That's just, and I mean, it's 3 minutes. We don't have to play.
We don't got to play the whole thing, but that was pretty
essentially
much what he said.
Those are what he was saying. And he didn't say anything bad about Rondon. I mean, as a GM, I don't know if I get rid of him. I mean, when he's good, he's good. The same with Sale. When Sale's on, he's.
But that's the biggest part. Like you talk about the Dodgers, it's not only about they're not computers. They're not programmed into, Ohtani's going to hit 295 with 44 homers and drive in 160. No, he's still a human being. The thing is that he's a really good human being. And that's why that camaraderie and that team and that clubhouse is going to be huge. Doesn't matter what team it is. The Giants weren't the best team on paper when they were winning every other year.
No, they weren't.
Right. But they had an unbelievable camaraderie. They had Bochy running the helm. Right. And so that's where that clubhouse is massive. That was one of the best things about 2018. I wasn't up there a whole lot. I was up 25, 30 days, but that clubhouse took me in great. Right. I mean, talking to Hanley Ramirez, who's got 15 years in the big leagues and I got 4 days, and he's talking to me about pitch selection in the second series of the year. Steve Pierce talking to me, right? Like these guys that are veteran hitters talking to young pitchers that have 0 days in the big leagues. That's how you build that camaraderie. And I think the Dodgers have that, and that's why they've been good.
Well, and we've touched on it. They need you.
Yeah.
Those guys need you to perform.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. And that's one of the biggest things. Like really good teams don't try to pick on their younger players. So they're not trying to get them. They're not worried about their job. Their job security is that they're going to outperform those younger kids. You want those younger kids to come in and pitch well or play good or right. You fail. You got a guy on second base and you punch out, you need the next guy, the young buck, to come up and get a knock for you, right? If you're pitching I knew when I made the big leagues, was against Houston. I come in for Chris Sale in the 5th inning, bases loaded, 1 out, and I get out of it without giving any runs. And he said, that's why I love
you. Do you remember a pitch that you threw in that?
I faced Jake Marisnick, who was a good friend of mine.
But I'm saying, do you remember how like your nerves? I'm sure we talked about it on one of your first episodes. I don't remember though what you.
I mean, that I was
that
already,
you hit in
had
Arizona. Was when
yeah,
you hit it.
my bat was in Arizona, but I mean, I was up and down, up and down, up and down, and I had stayed up for a little while. But once I finished that inning and I threw the next inning also, I consider myself a big leaguer. Like, you get called up and like you are a big leaguer, but like you're not solidified, right? You can get sent down tomorrow. But when I come in and save that game in the fifth inning was really what happened. We ended up winning that game by a couple runs. That's a big situation to come in. And I love throwing after Sale. I mean, he's low 3/4 from the left side, and I'm throwing a little
just jacking everybody's
sinker baller
side up,
right? And so those were some of my best games throwing after him. But that was like, you knew you made the big leagues at that point, right? And that's where, like, that's a confidence that these veterans are trying to give to these younger players. And that's where you get a team that doesn't have a whole lot of veteran experience, and they're worried about their job because they got 3 years, 4 years of service time. They're not really getting paid. They're making ARB1 money. They're worried about their job too, because you're just as disposable as the next guy.
right?
As in, you get into these big veteran teams like the Red Sox. We had 7 or 8 guys on 5, 7, 8 year deals. They weren't worried about me taking their job. They knew that I needed to help them keep their job and win ball games. And walking into 2019, that's what kind of helped me relax a little bit. And I think that's what the Rays do really good, even though they're not super veteran, but that's what Kevin Cash does really well. He gets those guys to play for him. Real quick, I listened to the Dave Roberts little opening speech to his team. That got me going.
I got to check it out. I didn't listen to it.
I just saw it last night. And he just talks about preparation. I want to challenge you guys to prepare for greatness, and just being able to, you guys all prepare differently. You guys all do your own thing, but I'm challenging you guys to prepare for greatness. And that's one of the best things. I want you to believe that you want to be the guy on the mound, the guy playing defense, the guy taking the at bat, right? We have a lot of really good players, but you got to believe in yourself wanting to be that guy. So that's one of the biggest things. I think high school teams, we don't necessarily think about that as much as preparation leads to success and wanting to be the guy in those hot spots.
That's one of the things Alex Bregman said in an interview a couple of years ago. Was somebody asked, it might have been A-Rod, like, why are you so confident? And he's like, I'm confident because I'm prepared. I'm prepared. Like that, I don't have no doubts about
have you
my
heard
abilities.
Some of this LSU stuff where he's
yeah.
hitting in the barn at 2 a.m.
And why he wears number 2?
I need a key. I need the key.
Yeah.
They were like, what do you mean? He's like,
he plays with a chip for sure.
Right.
You know, as far as Rendon, like I don't know what it does to a clubhouse. I thought what Kirby said would have done more damage, considering you're in a race for the playoffs.
Yes.
And you're down to crunch time. To me, that would bother me more than, you know, my family's more important than this business I run. This is a family business.
Correct. Yeah.
But I would still choose my family over this every day of the week.
Yes.
So I don't blame him for thinking that. And maybe people that don't have families, that bothers them. Could be.
Yeah.
Maybe because you said it. He's making a lot of money. His spot's guaranteed, really. The other, nobody's taking his job because we're paying him too much money for somebody to take his job. I mean, you've seen it maybe in the past where a guy gets traded or whatnot, but I don't know. Like, I understand some people may not love it. Maybe it was one of those things you should just, I think Papelbon said this, if you believe that and that's how you feel, like, great, no worries. Maybe it's something you don't say, though, publicly.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's being truthful where, is this your priority? Well, if he said yes.
He didn't say it's not a priority. It's just not my top.
Yeah.
My number one.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be your number one.
And, I mean, he's there at 7 a.m. answering questions.
Are you their number one priority?
Yeah.
They could cut you tomorrow.
It's a business. And that's the hardest part when you learn that, and everything is, when you learn that this game becomes a business, it's tough, man, because, right, when I first started playing, even in low-level A-ball, I had a good friend of mine, his dad told me, he said, man, you get paid for the bullshit you're doing. Riding the bus, right? If I told you you're going to go play for 7 months a year, you'd go play for free. But to go ride the bus, to go stay at the Days Inn or the La Quinta Inn in the middle of nowhere, New York, that's what you're getting paid for. And so that's where, right, these guys are paying because there's a lot of people coming to watch him play. Right? But nobody, I mean,
to me, it's kind of dumb, though, too. Like, you don't get there where he's at without it being a priority.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get to be that. Like, I understand there's some natural and God-given abilities for sure.
And that's what
But
Papelbon
still-
said. He's like, he's probably the most gifted out of all 4 of us combined.
Yeah, like you may want to go. You can find it on Twitter. Just
Foul
search what Papelbon had to say about it. In his response, he does talk about like Rendon's one of the most talented players in the game that could put in more work and be like one of the greats.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've only seen him play. I think he's a good player. You know, struggled in Anaheim. It hasn't been the best experience, I think, for them. But man, people were like up in arms about it a little
blowing up, you know. But again, I agree with his answer. I fully believe that my faith and my family comes first. And
You don't think it's something that would divide the locker room at all?
I don't think so. I mean, as long as right now, if he's not getting his work in, that's a different story, right? Like if you're not preparing yourself, that's a different situation because you still got to show up to work and you got to get
right.
ready.
If you're not healthy again because you're not getting therapy, you're not taking care of your body,
right?
Then yeah, then you got something to maybe a teammate can come at you and say, hey man,
right. Nobody said anything when Pedroia was hurt with his knee because they knew he was doing everything he could to get healthy.
well, and you know he wants
Right.
to be
But
out there.
His 3 boys, his family, I can probably tell you come first. If it's one or the other, his family is coming first. But he was doing everything he could to get ready. And it just never happened. Like he had 5 surgeries or something like that, 4 surgeries on his knee. But those are the kind of guys that you know they're getting ready. They're doing everything they can to get ready. And if Rendon can look himself in the mirror and say, I'm doing everything I can to get ready, right? There's nobody, he's got to answer his own question, right? Nobody's going to answer it for him.
We'll see. We'll see. The spring is approaching. Spring training's coming up quick. You'll be going down there for a bit.
Couple of weeks.
Again, a lot of baseball's going on. The Dogs, I'm not sure when they're coming back. I would assume next weekend there'll be another series. Go to gobulldogs.com. Get their schedule. I think CVC has a website for all the JUCO baseball in this area. For your local high school stuff, obviously you've got Gabe Camarillo with ESPN Radio, who does a great job covering local sports, whether it's basketball, softball, and of course the legend Nick Papagni, always covering stuff. I don't know if Paul Metters will be doing a show this spring for baseball or something. I know he does a lot of football stuff. But again, all those guys are also covering sports. I thank everybody for being patient, man. And I don't know if anybody cares anymore. We've been gone so long. It felt good. It feels good to kind of do something and talk some baseball. It feels like forever, not just a couple months, but I'm excited to be back. I'll give you as much as I can with whoever's willing to come on here and do some stuff with us. Give me some feedback if you want, message me. You want more guests, want more Marcus. I know everybody wants Labby too. I think Labby might be popping in next week. We'll see if I can get it worked out right. But also going to try to get Chad on here and kind of officially be able to end it for him the right way.
Yeah, congratulate him.
Yeah, man. I'm happy for him. Guy works hard. He's a great baseball coach, knows the game, and I think he's going to be good for those kids. And it's on him. And I think he's ready for that. I hope he is. But I think he is, and I'm proud of him. I've heard nothing but good things thus far from the people over there, so that makes me feel good. And he's trending in the right direction, man. So good luck to him. Good luck to all the teams playing this spring. That is another episode of the Hit or Die podcast.